Hi guys, Mark here. Thank you for joining me. In today's tutorial, we're going to be making a Christmas tree which you can use to decorate your home. The main supply for our project is going to be cordage. I recommend using cord about 2 mm in diameter. In my case, I'm using type 1 paracord. Through the tutorial, we're going to be using our strands in pairs. So we're going to start with 2, then add another 2, and another 2 and so on. The first pair is going to be 2.5 feet long. Each subsequent pair is going to be 4 inches shorter. So the second pair is going to be 2 feet 2 inches long. The third pair is going to be a foot and 10 inches long, and so on. To hang our Christmas tree, we're going to be using a key ring or any other type of a ring. Beads are optional. Here I have 3 examples. One tree done without beads, one with beads on the outside, and another one which also has beads on the inside. It is your choice how you incorporate beads. Here are just a few examples. Finally, scissors as well as a lighter are going to perform our cutting and melting tasks. To start our tying, we're going to attach our first 2 strands onto our ring. The first 2 strands are 2.5 feet long each. Take your first one, fold it in half, attach it onto your ring using a lark's head knot. Do the same thing with your second cord. Like this. Next, I'm going to secure my ring to prevent it from moving. A simple way of doing this is to clamp down your ring onto your table. We start off by tying a single square knot, also referred to as the cobra knot. Next, we split our strands into 2 pairs, then introduce 2 more strands. So take a new strand, fold it in half, pass the middle point, so divide it, under 2 of your strands, take the top strand, pass it under your bottom one, creating a 4 shape. Then the bottom strand passes over the top into the opening on the left. Tighten up. Take the right strand, pass under the 2 core strands, over the left strand, then the left strand passes over the top into the opening on the right. Tying a square knot. Push the knot up a bit. Repeat one more time. So again we take a new strand, fold it in half, place the middle point under two of our strands. We take the top strand, pass it under the bottom one, then the bottom strand passes over the top into the opening on the left. Then we take the right strand, pass it under the two core strands, over the left one. The left strand passes over the top into the opening on the right. Tighten up, push your knot up towards the first one. We continue by tying a square knot using the innermost four strands. So 2 coming from the left square knot, 2 coming from the right square knot. We continue by tying 2 square knots. Next, we are going to attach 2 additional strands. We are going to attach them onto the 2 strands on the left and on the right. Tie another square knot with the 4 middle strands. So we are going to get a total of 3 square knots. We're going to continue by tying 2 square knots. Using the 2 sets of 4 at the center. 2 strands on each side are going to be left out. Next, I'm going to be tying a row of 3 square knots. We continue by attaching 2 additional strands onto the 2 strands on the left and on the right. Using the remaining 8 strands, tie 2 additional square knots for a total of 4. Continue by tying 3 square knots. So we are going to leave the outer 2 strands on the left as well as on the right out of the way and use the 12 strands at the center. In the next row, we're going to be tying a total of 4 square knots, so using all of our strands. We now attach 2 new strands, the final pair, onto the 2 strands on the left and onto the 2 strands on the right. Wet the remaining 12 strands at the center. We're going to tie 3 additional square knots for a total of 5. We continue by tying a total of 4 square knots. We're going to leave 2 strands on the left as well as 2 strands on the right out of the way. Use the rest to tie 4 square knots. The final row consists out of 5 square knots, so we're going to use up all of our strands, tying a total of 5 square knots. This completes our work with the square knots. To finish up the bottom, I'm going to add a row of double half hitches. I'm going to start on the left. I'm going to place my left strand over the strands on the left, and I'm going to attach 7 of them onto my guiding strand. I start with my first strand. I form a hitch, then a second hitch, forming a double half hitch. Take the next strand, repeat. Do the same thing for a total of 7 strands. the left side. We're going to leave out the middle 4 strands. These are going to be used later on. On the right, we do the same thing. So the right strand passes over 7 of our strands on the right. Then we attach them one by one using the double half hitch. So a hitch, another hitch, forming the double half hitch. Do the same thing for a total of 7 strands. Like this. To finish our tying, we're going to take the 4 center strands which we left out earlier. Grab the 2 guiding strands from the sides as well. So we have a total of 6 strands. Grab a piece of thread, fold it in half. Place the bight so the center point like this, so onto the 6 strands. Grab an additional cord about 1.5 feet to 2 feet long. Place the short end right next to your thread. So this is our thread, this is the short end. Move a bit further to the left. Take the long end, start wrapping around from left towards the right. Your wrapping turns should be fairly loose. When you're happy with the length of this bottom part here, take your working end, place it bottom up, through the bight, so through your thread. Then, grab your thread on the left, pull the working end under your wrapping turns all the way to the left. Like this. Now pull your whipping up as far up as you can. So pull on these ends here on the right. Then take the 2 ends coming from the webbing. So this is the short end. This one here is the long end. Slightly pull on them to tighten up your webbing. Something like this. Finally, we do some trimming. I like to fray these bottom parts a little bit. Then apply a bit of heat. You are done. So guys, that's our project for today. A nice looking Christmas tree decoration for your home. Thank you for joining me and congratulations if you got this far. Merry Christmas and see ya next time.